Hello once again. Welcome to our lesson 6 for beginners. We're going to be covering the concept of Lishma, for his name's sake. And we talked in our previous lesson about the concept of Lishma a little bit, and the concept of Lo Lishma. And we mentioned that Lishma means acting or doing something for the name of the Creator's sake. Meaning, not for me, not for my egoistic desire, but for the Creator's sake. And that's a way in which we receive the light of the Creator, but we're bestowing back to Him. So we're gonna be touching base not only on Lishma, we're also gonna be talking a little bit about prayer and what is the proper prayer and what does prayer actually means for a Kabbalist, for a person who is a Kabbalist. So the first thing that I want to talk before we continue with our lesson on Lishma and for his name's sake is to let you know that we have a website, and that website, the website is called www.receivingtheupperlight.com, and you can go there, and right now we have content for the beginners, so you can go over there and see all the videos that we have for the beginners in one side. Pretty soon we're gonna be adding videos on the intermediate level and also advanced level, and we're gonna be having some we're gonna develop some teachings, using some concepts, using the Zohar. And for this, feel free to go to the contact page and send me an email about suggestions. What would you like to know? What would you like to study? We're also going to be talking about the Parsha and the holidays, and we're going to be adding those lessons there as well, and we're going to try to keep it short as possible. It will be, Parsha and the holidays with a Kabbalistic insight in a nutshell. And one thing that we are going to be working also is on seminars. Those seminars are going to be very important for those of you who are looking to apply Kabbalah in your everyday life and in your personal life. So that's that. Make sure you go to www.receivingthelight.com, and in there you're gonna find also the links to go to our Facebook page and also to our other social media that we're using. So let's start first, talking about some verses that you will find in the Tanakh, the Bible, and also in the Talmud. And like I mentioned before, the Bible, as we know it, is it's a instruction, a written instruction. It's not a book of history. And you're gonna find some Kabbalists, including the Arizal. He used to say, and most of the Kabbalists will say, that you shouldn't study the Torah as a historical book, as something that is literal. Most of the stories probably happen, but not exactly as they were written, because they were written in a certain way in order to hide certain information that was necessary for those people who were looking for spiritual development. And the first thing that you're gonna see is here and there we're gonna be using some verses from the Tanakh, and is to support what we're actually studying here, and we call Kabbalah. Very important to understand is that the book of Torah, the book of and the Tanakh itself, even the Talmud and the Mishnah, are Kabbalistic books. When they are read properly, you can attain the light that they are meant to give us. So in this case, you have to understand one thing, that when we read the Bible, what we're reading is a manual for our physical reality, but most important is a manual how to achieve spirituality while we are in this physical realm. So let's talk about the verses that I have in the screen. The first one is from Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. Ki ani Yohevahe lo shaniti. Lo shaniti. For I, Yohevahe, do not change. And why that verse is very important? It's very important because you need to understand that the concept that we talked in our previous lesson, that the light doesn't change. The light is always going to be the same. The only thing that changes is the sensation of the vessel. Is the light entering, it's not going to make any change in the light. The light entering into the vessel is going to create sensations inside the vessel, and these sensations are going to be felt in the forms of Sefirot, Olamot, and all that. So it's very important. Also, the departure of the light, which was something that I forgot to cover in our previous lesson. Light entering the vessel is considered life. That vessel, that creature is alive. The light departing the vessel completely, not a little bit, but completely departing the vessel completely, is considered death. So when we study Kabbalah more advanced, we're going to study about a concept in Kabbalah that is called the 8 kings. Actually 7 kings. And these kings of Edom, it is said that they die. And it's a symbolism used in the Zohar to talk about these primordial worlds, which are Sefirot. And these Sefirot are going to be corrected. There's going to be a tikkun performed in the 6 days of creation. So the Zohar is giving us a hint of what is correcting, or what is being corrected in the book of Bereshit, in Genesis. So that's why I mentioned that the time that we have in Genesis, one day, is not necessarily the same time that is that we have here on Earth, the 24 hours. So keep that in mind all the time. The other one is, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, my ways are not your ways, says Yohevaheh. The thoughts are the most less physical part of our reality here. So the thought of creation was basically to impart light and pleasure to the vessel. However, the thoughts of the vessel should be to receive that pleasure, that light, in order to bestow, in order to do it in the lishma, for his name's sake. But we're doing it backwards. We're doing it for our sake, and that's where our division is between the Creator and us, where we are not in similarity of form or equivalence of form with the Creator, but we're opposite. We're really opposite to the Creator. And the thing is, once we recognize that, which is called recognition of evil in the Kabbalistic literature, we're gonna see that recognition of evil is going to lead us to start changing the intention. Instead of having the lo lishma, not for his name's sake, we will start changing and reprogramming ourselves into starting doing things for his name's sake. In this case, we will receive his pleasure, but we're gonna do it only because we know that's what the Creator, or that's what the Creator's intention was in the first place. So by us accepting that, by us accepting that light within us, but not for our own egoistic desire, we're fulfilling the goal of creation. The next verse we're gonna read is one that comes from the Talmud, tractate Yoma 38. One who comes to purify himself, he is helped by God. One who comes to defile himself, the way is made open for him. So basically, this is talking about what we talked before, the path of Torah and the path of pain. So if you come to purify, to rectify, to perform corrections, the light will be there to help you. You will be supported by the light all the time, and it will be easier when you do that. And we're gonna touch this subject a little bit when we talk about prayer. But if you come with this idea of egoism, only egoism, you just want to receive, and after that egoistic desire is satisfied, you get a bigger desire and all that, like it says there, the way is made open for him. The light is not going to oppose what you're doing, but it will give you pain. It will, it's your choice at that time. And you will suffer pain. It will take longer for you to develop spiritually, because regardless whether you believe in God or you don't, whether you believe in something spiritual or you don't, we all are going to go through this spiritual development. So if you choose a path of pain, it will take longer. You will have to, as some Kabbalists will say, return over and over until you realize that enough is enough and that you need to start working with the light. Or you can work with the Torah, with the light of correction. And the light of correction will help you, because it's you that open yourself, to the light, and the light will enter. You are the kli. It's you that will, because of your desire, will find the proper environment to develop yourself. And sometimes that environment doesn't have to be an environment in which you have people believing the same thing that you're believing. Sometimes that environment is an environment that is very opposite of what you actually want in life. But because you are working lishma, you accept it and you find in it some kind of spiritual fulfillment. If you're lucky, you will find a group in which you fit in, and you will learn, and you will be advancing faster, because these people have the same thoughts, the same intention that you have, and you will advance. So keep in mind these three verses. Take a note of them. Malachi 3 verse 6, Isaiah, Yeshayahu 55 verse 8. and the Talmud, Tractate Yonah 38. So let's talk about the vessel. Remember we talked about basically the anatomy of the vessel in our previous lesson, in which we have the vessel and how this vessel is divided into different parts. We're not gonna touch base on those parts in this lesson, but we're gonna talk about two things. Remember, the vessel have the toch, the sof, a tabur, and everything, and those things are different parts of something, and that something is the guf. Guf, like I mentioned in the other lesson, is the body. It's considered the body. So here is the vessel. This is the body of the vessel, and this is the head, the rosh. This is where all the light that is rejected is going to create vessels of bestowal in there, and that's the rosh. In here you find vessels that are egoistic in nature. They're vessels that like to receive. In here you will find vessels that want to bestow, give, receive, and bestow. Okay? Also, in this diagram, what you see also that this is actually our ladder, spiritual ladder, that will take us to spirituality. 125 spiritual degrees. So what we're going to talk about is the following. We talk about the light coming down towards the vessel and hitting the masach. And we said that inside the masach, or in the masach, there's an opening that is called pe, mouth in English. So it's through there that the light enters. That light, when it hits the masach, it creates some kind of sensation, right? Or calculation. And the intention there, since it is to receive lishma for the sake of his name and all life, it will accept some of the light and it will reject the rest. So in this case, and this is, we're talking about 20%, 40%, 60% as a way to understand how the light works. It doesn't necessarily enter the vessel in 20%, 40%, 60%. It's just as this is the best way to explain it. When the light comes in, the vessel accepts 20% of that light. It rejects 80%, right? So when you start accepting life, which is a light, you start accepting or you start becoming something, and that something is a soul. You start acquiring a soul. So the vessel start acquiring a soul. In this case, by receiving a little bit of the light, just a little bit of the light. In this case, I was saying 20%. It acquires a level of nefesh. What is the level of nefesh? The level of the soul called nefesh is that level that keeps basically an animal alive. Is that level that makes our heart pumps, makes our heart pump and makes our organs work. It's basically what keeps us alive. It's the animal soul, if you want to say it that way. And that animal soul is what we acquire. when the vessel start acquiring more light, in this case I wrote 40%, it acquires a different level. It acquires 40%, rejects 60%, but it acquires a different level of the soul called Ruach. And Ruach, it's already a little bit more internal, spiritually speaking, because Ruach is already not only a soul that we're receiving, that will start instead of being in this animal level of the nefesh, now we start receiving this level of ruach, in which we start asking ourselves, is there something more? We start looking to our position in the universe. When we acquire the ruach, we acquire emotional clarity. We acquire inspiration and things like that. When we accept more of the light, let's say 60%, and we reject 40%, we acquire the level of neshama. And very interesting is a ruach and neshama. Ruach and neshama, both of them are related. It has to do with the wind coming out from something, coming out from somebody. One is like wind, and the other one is like a blowing or something like that. So Ruach and Neshama somehow has this air symbolism in it. With Neshama, we acquire something that is called holy thoughts, the thoughts of creation. That's when we know for real what is our mission here. That's when we're at this moment not only receiving for ourselves, but also receiving in order to bestow to the Creator, Lishma. And these levels are really nice. There's pleasure for that vessel, right? But that vessel needs to be fulfilled completely. And there's other level, like Haya, which is the level of life, and Yehidah, which is the level of unification with the light, with the Creator. So the level of Haya, life, can be attained once we become one soul, once we become one as the body of Adam was before it broke into pieces. Because in Genesis we're gonna hear about Adam fell to the ground. The fall of Adam was that he fell to the ground. Yes, literally Adam fell to the ground, but the word ground in Hebrew, has a different meaning. In fact, you're gonna find the word dust in Hebrew also appears in there, which is a very low state. That's the reason the serpent was condemned, basically, to eat dust, because a really low state of the Sephira Malchut. But the fall of Adam actually meant that Adam broke into pieces and fell down to the level that we are right now, and that we need to come together as one, create a critical mass of people that have the same intention, and that critical mass of people will be basically the Rosh of humanity, and will help humanity achieve the goal of creation, which is attain the light of the Creator. And not only there will be a life, because right now we're considered like we're dead, there's no light in our vessels. Remember Adam, when he symbolically ate from the tree of knowledge, from the Etz Hadat of good and evil, he acquired something that he wasn't supposed to acquire, and that was death. And death means, like I mentioned before, the complete departure of the light. So let's say if the light comes here and is totally rejected, 100% is rejected, there's no light coming in here, the vessel is considered dead. In order for this vessel to start receiving life, meaning be resurrected, it needs to start working with its intention, and that's how we start receiving all these levels of the soul. When did the soul was created? The soul was created in the Tzimtzum Aleph. The Tzimtzum Aleph, when this barrier was created in order to not allow light or all the light to come in from and be used in an egoistic way. So this level of Chaya basically is a level of life. When we are alive, when we're at the level in which we can call ourselves alive again. But it's not complete light, it's not everything. The Creator wants to give us everything, and we need to fulfill that. When we fulfill that, we will achieve the level of Yehidah, which is unification with God. And that's something that will happen to all humanity when we come together as one heart and one soul into that Parsuf called Adam Harishon. And that will help us to be also in the equivalence of form or similarity to the Creator, meaning we will basically be bestowal, in the level of bestowal. So this is how the vessel works, how the system works. On the Rosh, this is where the thought is. In the Guf, this is where the action is taken. But remember, his thoughts are not our thoughts. Though the Creator has a Rosh, he doesn't need a Rosh. He doesn't need to calculate how much light he wants to give us. And from the Creator's point of view, the vessel is already fulfilled. From the vessel's point of view, we still have to go through all these 125 degrees. And the reason for that is that we're living in Ein Sof. We're inside that system, and that system is corrected already. We just need to attain it. How do we attain that? We attain that by doing the proper prayer. Prayer, what is it? So, Lishma, as we mentioned, is for it's doing things, it's doing receiving the light for the sake of the Creator, and it's also doing this receiving for the sake of bestowal. But we have to remember that there's the light of Torah. The light of Torah is this Or Makif, this surrounding light that is around the vessel. And that light will put pressure in us. And that pressure that we feels like pain and suffering, is something that we need to work with. And when we start working Lishma, for His namesake, we will see that that light doesn't pressure us anymore. We're allowing that light to come in. And the light of Torah, through this pressure, and this pressure is painful, and through our change in the way we see this pressure that we're feeling, or changing our intention, by accepting that light, that's the real prayer. And I'm gonna explain this in a way that can be more simple to understand. And it's by describing prayer the following way. Prayer is simply analyzing our desires against the Creator's desires. So how I analyze, my prayer? How do I know that the prayer that I'm doing is gonna be answered? Remember in the beginning when we said, and we mentioned the tractate from Talmud. I have it right here. Okay, right there. One who comes to purify himself, he is held by God. One who comes to defile himself, the way is made open for him. So this is what is describing right here is the lishma. So the prayer that you're doing, if you do a lishma, will also be answered according to the intention that you're putting into it, right? So let's explain prayer, in the sense of analyzing our desires against the Creator's desire. So the Creator's desire is to bestow, to give pleasure to the vessel. The vessel is egoistic in nature and needs to change intention. That's what it is. Sadly and erroneously, prayer done in religion is done with the mouth and is a bargaining with the Creator. What we're doing is we're asking the Creator to change the situation. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to be in this situation. Help me, God. Or we ask for the people, pray for me so this thing can pass. And that way I can be in peace. We want peace. That's all we want. We don't want to suffer. So our prayers in religion is basically about not to suffer. I'm praying to God to make sure that the situation that I'm going through is changed towards a positive situation. And it's a bargaining also. God, I will be a good person because I don't want to suffer the fires of hell. Or I want to be a good person because I don't want to, if you're from the Eastern religion, I don't want to be accumulating karma and being reincarnating in, let's say, a cow or a dog or something like that. So it's always what is there for me. I'm making a deal here. I'm going to be better. But I want to be better because I want something in exchange. It's not because I want to be better in order to satisfy the goal that the Creator has already in his thoughts, and satisfying the goal, the egoistic goal that I have in my thoughts. And through this prayer, I'm basically trying to get the Creator to work for me instead of me working for the Creator. There's another prayer. It's a prayer in Kabbalah, or the definition of prayer in Kabbalah. And this prayer is done with the heart. It's done with the desire. And you ask for equivalence of form with the Creator. What does that mean? You do it with your desires. The same desires you're probably using here, but these desires have a complete different intention. What we do here is the following. We don't bargain with the Creator. Don't change the situation, or I'm gonna be change the situation, and I want to be a good person, and that way you can give me something to change. No, in Kabbalah, the prayer is the following: you have a lack, and you recognize that lack, and that lack is that I am opposite to the Creator, and I want to be like Him. I want to be an equivalence of form. I want to be similar to Him, a vessel of bestowal. Just like Bina, the level of Bina, in which I want to give back to the Creator. And the only way that prayer can be answered is if I change my intention. My intention in the prayer in religion is simply egoistic. I just want something in exchange. Be good because I have fear of being punished. It's all about eliminating pain. In here, we accept the pain. We know the situation cannot be changed. It is sent for a reason. So what we're going to do is actually look what is the reason, learn from it, and ask the Creator not to change the situation. The situation is not going to change, but to change me, change the way I see it, change the way I learn from it. I want to see, basically the prayer is that I want to see the good in something that I perceive with my human mind as bad because it is painful, it bothers me, and things like that. So it's this type of prayer is also a prayer that helps us understand that everything that happens in our lives, whether it is good or bad, and good or bad is according to our perception, or human perception, whether that gives us pain or not, pain or pleasure, whether it is good or bad, we need to understand that that comes from the Creator. And once we know that, once we see that, things become clear and there's no suffering. You accept things as they are, you learn your lesson, and there's no suffering. There might be physical suffering, believe it or not, but there's no suffering. In fact, there's an example that some Kabbalists used about this, and they mentioned that when Rabbi Akiva was being tortured by the Romans, that as they were torturing him, they skinned him alive, he received basically pleasure from the Creator. And a lot of people are asking, if he's in pain, why he feels that pleasure, spiritual pleasure. Physically he was feeling pain, but spiritual he was feeling the pleasure of the light. And it's because at that moment he realized that all his life, that was the moment he was waiting for. That was the moment of total fulfillment and adhesion to the Creator. So imagine that. When we say in Kabbalah that you will feel no pain, we're talking about spiritual pain, spiritual suffering. Physically you might feel the pain, and like Kabbalah said, you're not asking for the situation to change. You just ask the Creator to change your view, the way you're seeing it. If you're seeing it as something bad, to see what's the good behind it, because the Creator is good, that always gonna do good, but our perception, because it's broken, is gonna see it as good and bad. So that's prayer according to Kabbalah. Let's recap before we go. And so we talk about how we're gonna start using the Tanakh to support some of our concepts, the concepts that we're explaining here in Kabbalah. And I ask you to take note of Malachi chapter 3 verse 6, Isaiah 55 verse 8, and Talmud Yoma Tractate 38. And this is for us to understand that the Creator's intention is always to bestow, but our intentions are going to be egoistic. But we can have similarity of form. We are never going to be like the Creator. We're never going to be at that level, but we can be at the level in which we're similar. We're givers. Some Kabbalists actually say, in that way we become also co-creators. We can create a better world for everybody. And also that if you want to purify, if you want to correct your egoism, help is sent from the light. The light will help you. But if you come to defile yourself, basically you don't care about anything, the way is wide open for that person. You can do whatever you want, but there's always a price. There's always a law out there that will make sure that you pay the price, and that you make sure that you come back and you start thinking that, hey, I need to change my ways, and my ways are not going to be changed because I want to change in order to be safe from something, but to make sure that I'm doing it for the sake of the Creator. And that way I can accept the light of the Creator properly, with a good intention, and not egoistic, and start working on myself, correcting myself, and acquiring and attaining these levels called Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and Yehidah. And remember, this work is not only by individuals, it is also a spiritual work that needs to be done in as a group as well. Okay? And also make sure that you understand that prayer is analyzing our desires against the Creator's desires. So when I'm going to pray to the Creator, I'm going to first see what I'm asking, what I'm desiring. Does it meet the requirements for the prayer to be a prayer that is going to be answered? Is it a prayer that is asking the Creator to change me as a vessel instead of changing the situation, which is the light of Torah, putting pressure on my vessel? That's not going to change. The light doesn't change. The vessel is the one that needs to change perceptions and intentions. So understand the difference between the prayer that we do in religion, which is a prayer that is more a bargaining. I do this in exchange or something because the Creator is going to do something. And also, there's also a prayer in religion in which you're praying using the mouth, and that prayer is actually not listened, because you're praying, but you're praying because you're doing it in order to satisfy the religious rules, the religious dogma, and you become a slave of a system created by humans instead of become a participant of a system that was created by the Creator by doing the proper prayer, which is, I'm having a situation and I'm going to work with the light in order to better myself and make the situation a teaching moment and also a moment of attainment, spiritual attainment, and allow the light of Torah, the light of correction, to correct me. And even though I may feel pain physically, like it happened to Rabbi Akiva as he was tortured by the Romans, I will feel pleasure because I see the good in this situation. In fact, last week's Parsha Haremot, we were talking, my kids and I, we were talking about how the two sons of Aharon, they went to close, and they brought also a different foreign fire, to another fire that wasn't the one that was commanded to them to bring into the tabernacle, and they die. But something happened after that. Even though that's something bad that they die, something good happened. And the words of Moshe basically was like, these two guys die because they were better than you and me, Aaron. And not only that, after that, when you read the Parsha Haremot, you're going to see that after the death of the two sons, there comes some rules about purification and what to do and everything, in order for Aaron, when he was going to go inside, not to make a mistake in which he will lose his life as well. So Aaron being Aaron, and always being this guy that is peaceful, promotes peace, he saw the good in the bad. He lost 2 sons. He was for sure super depressed, but he didn't ask the Creator change the situation, everything, but he was flowing with the light and saw that there's a reason for everything, and that because of that also there was a commandment of atonement before getting in, and a commandment of how to basically approach properly the Creator inside the tabernacle, so the high priest will not die. So very interesting insights in the parsha, and there were Kabbalistic insights, by the way, especially when it talks about Aaron being in front, or before he goes in front of the parochet, which is the curtain and everything. There's some Kabbalistic insights in there about the different levels of the tree of life. Well, I'll leave you with that thought in mind. And like always, I'm going to give you homework. The homework right now is going to be the following. Think about the many times, meditate about the many times that you have actually done a prayer to the Creator, and that prayer has never been answered. And think why it hasn't been answered. Dissect that prayer, dissect that desire that you've been asking the Creator for so long, and see why it haven't been answered. Am I doing it lishma, or am I doing this prayer in a way that I'm asking the Creator to change me, instead of asking the Creator to give me something without me giving something back, or without me thinking, this is a deal that we have, I do something, you do something for me. Just think about that. What kind of prayer have you done that hasn't been answered? And why do you think hasn't been answered? Dissect it. See where is the egoistic part on that prayer, and you will see why most of the prayers that we do are not answered. There's always a little drop of egoism in them, and there's always this type of bargaining somehow with the Creator. Alright, so I'll leave you with that homework. I'll see you in the next lesson. We're gonna get more in depth on the tree of life. We're gonna be touching base on the tree of life, and that will be actually the beginning of the end of the beginner's lesson, because then after that, for the intermediate level, we're gonna go deeper, and we're gonna be studying some sources as well. So you're gonna be starting to read some Kabbalistic text and learn a little bit more about Kabbalah as a system that can help you achieve lishma and achieve the proper intention and to do the proper prayer. So I'll see you in the next lesson, and shalom.